Hello, I am a woman in her 70s who gave my ill-mannered daughter-in-law a definitive lesson in character and respect. I know that this is not an era where elders should automatically be treated with deference, but that doesn't mean the younger generation can abandon basic manners. Mutual respect is the foundation of human interaction, regardless of age. I truly believe that my son and daughter-in-law would uphold these values without me having to interfere. But contrary to my expectations, my daughter-in-law, Grace, was a person who completely lacked proper etiquette. Unable to tolerate her arrogant and haughty behavior any longer, I was eventually forced to take action. Today's story is not just about a conflict between a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, it's about the serious consequences a person faces when they fail to respect others. I hope you will listen closely. My late father used to run a business, meeting hundreds of people every day. Because of this, my father always stressed the importance of being a polite and respectful person to everyone. He often shared stories of people who lacked common sense. Today, while I was busy working, some young man yelled at me and even pointed his finger just because I didn't serve him first. Did that young fellow forget his manners? You shouldn't act like that. Both of you must always be careful with your words and actions, so you don't get criticized for being rude. My father was meticulous about etiquette education from our childhood, so I too told my children to be well-mannered people, rather than just smart people. I got married in my mid-25s and had a son and a daughter. My husband, like me, hoped our children would grow up to be decent people, rather than clever or selfish ones. The initial connection with my husband was built on this shared philosophy. The more I got to know him, the more I realized he was a man who truly knew how to respect people for who they were. Once, when we were riding the bus together, an older woman shoved my husband aside to take a seat. I was annoyed and kept staring at her. Yet, my husband greeted the woman warmly. "Are you coming back from the market? That basket looks heavy. It must be tough riding the bus with all that. Still, thanks to you, tonight's dinner will be plentiful. Your family must be thrilled." At that, the woman seemed taken aback for a moment and offered to hold my husband's bag. This kind nature of my husband was a huge asset throughout our marriage. We started our life with very little, working tirelessly at whatever jobs we could find. My husband worked on construction sites, and I worked at a factory to earn money. Thanks to all that hardship, by the time our children were in middle school, we were able to start a small subcontracting business. Even while running the company, my husband tried to spend time with our children whenever he could. "Dad, are we really going to the amusement park this weekend? No matter how tired I am, seeing you and your brother gives me strength. So, let's go have fun, the three of us, this weekend." My husband would even take the children out on weekends, just to let me rest. Perhaps due to my husband's consideration and efforts, our children grew up well-behaved and never caused any trouble. My husband was also very skilled with his hands. When our daughter got married, he personally built and gifted her a kitchen table. He worked late into the night, cutting wood, hammering nails, and applying paint to create a truly wonderful wedding present. "Dad, when did you make this? It's so beautiful. I'll use it for a long, long time." "Thank you, Dad." Our daughter absolutely loved my husband's gift. It was such a magnificent table that even our son was envious. "Yoonjung, you're so lucky. You're getting married before your brother, and you get such a wonderful gift from Dad. Dad, you have to make me one when I get married, too. It's a promise." My husband replied, "Oh, if you just get married, I'd build you a whole house." "You feel a little down because your younger sister is marrying first, don't you? Well then, hurry up and meet a nice young woman and get married." Our family was rich in heart, even more than in money. Thanks to my husband and me working diligently for nearly 30 years, we were able to afford a comfortable house and had enough savings to contribute a small amount to our children's weddings. Our younger daughter got married in her 20s, and we hoped our son would also meet a good person and marry soon. However, our son was completely immersed in his work as an airline pilot. Because of his career, he only got married in his mid-30s. I still vividly remember the day I was first introduced to my daughter-in-law. Grace was beautiful from the first moment we met. She wore stylish clothes, and her hairstyle and makeup clearly showed she knew how to present herself. "Hello, father and mother, I'm Grace. It's truly an honor to meet you both." Furthermore, Grace had a very pleasant personality. She didn't treat us like difficult in-laws, and even sweetly looked after our meals. "Mother, I heard you like seafood. Please try this. I think it will suit your taste." My husband was also very pleased, saying our son had met a good person. "Father, I heard from my husband that your hobby is woodworking. That's so cool. I want to try making a small shelf myself, but I can't quite manage alone. I'm also a bit scared of using the tools." "Oh, really? If my future daughter-in-law wants to learn, I'll teach you anytime. Let's make something together when you have time. Not long after, she came to our house with my son, carrying a complete set of tools. Mother, father, as you know, my husband is often out of Korea due to his flights. I thought this would be a great hobby to pass the time when I'm alone after the wedding. I'm going to learn hard today. At that time, my husband's company had seen a slight decrease in orders and was going through a tough time as cheap foreign competitors entered the market. We were worried, but we trusted that if we worked hard, we could recover. Fortunately, when we married off our son, we still had some financial stability, so we helped them buy a house with $250,000. Take this money, use it for the apartment. Even though our company is going through some difficult times, as your parents, we should do at least this much for our son's marriage. Father, we're okay. I have some savings, and even if we don't have enough, we should start small, within our means. Please use this money for your retirement. My thoughtful son didn't want to take the money, worried that he might be taking away our retirement funds. It's all right. This father isn't dead yet. When your elders give you money, you should accept it with gratitude. We are satisfied as long as you to live happily. However, since my husband and I started our married life in such difficult circumstances, we wanted to give our son something more. In the end, my son made a proposal. Instead of simply taking the money, then, we'll take this money as a loan from you. We'll even properly write out an IOU. Oh, why do you have to go that far? I know you might think I'll swindle you out of it. If I do, please don't hesitate to report me with this IOU, okay? I'll fly diligently and definitely pay this money back. My son insisted on writing the IOU, saying it was just a formality so we wouldn't feel uncomfortable. We wrote the document, and each kept a copy. Looking back now, my son made an incredibly wise decision then. I hate to imagine what might have happened to us otherwise. After that, my son and Grace had a successful wedding, and enjoyed a pleasant honeymoon. Their honeymoon was so joyful that soon after they returned to Korea, they gave us a surprise gift. Mother, father, I feel a little shy saying this, but we have something to tell you. We're expecting. Mother, father, I think it's a honeymoon baby. We never expected to have a grandchild so quickly. What? Is that true? Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. Our daughter-in-law always brings us such incredible gifts. She's a real treasure for our family. My son and Grace having a baby immediately after marriage made us even happier. I kept in close contact with Grace whenever my son was away flying, worried she might be lonely, and I bought her everything she wanted to eat. You said you wanted mangoes the other day, didn't you? You have to eat well when you're pregnant. I called around and bought the best mangoes for you. Keep them in the fridge and eat as many as you want. Oh, mother. Mangoes aren't even in season. How did you find them? That's so touching. Our baby must know. They're already wiggling inside my tummy. At first, I was worried that my frequent calls might bother her, as I was her mother-in-law. But Grace seemed to enjoy spending time with us, often visiting our home, even when I didn't contact her first. Mother, my husband is going on a flight again, and I'll be alone for several days. Can I stay at your place during that time? I'm getting so bored alone. Of course, you can. I'll send a taxi for you, so just take that. I'll make plenty of your favorite dishes for dinner tonight. Since Grace was so affectionate, everyone around us praised us for having a wonderful daughter-in-law. When our grandson, Ethan, was born, I felt like I had gained the whole world. Oh, look at those tiny fingers wiggling. Do you know who I am? I'm your grandma. Since my own daughter hadn't had children, yet, our first grandson was truly precious, love beyond measure. Not just me, but the whole family was completely captivated by him. Our nephew is lucky. Grandma and Grandpa love him so much. Just for a little smile. Oh, no, sister-in-law. My husband and your parents treat me so well. It's only right that I treat them even better. Sadly, this happiness didn't last forever. My husband's business had managed to hold on until our grandson's first birthday. But as the economy worsened and orders dropped, I could see the business faltering. Even though I was an outsider, my husband took out loans everywhere, just to make sure his employees got paid on time. Eventually, we had to move from our larger home to a smaller one. Honey, I'm so sorry. I can't even provide you with a comfortable life in our old age. Instead, I'm making you worry about our livelihood. I'm running around trying to prevent a final collapse. I know best how much you're struggling, but maybe next year, things will ease up a little. Let's just hold on a little longer. Better days will come soon. We encouraged each other, believing that if we just endured a little longer, things would get better. But 3 years later, my husband finally broke down and cried in front of me, saying he couldn't hold on anymore. I poured my heart and soul into this company, and look what happened. Honey, I feel like I'm going to collapse. I can't do this anymore. I think I need to liquidate the remaining business funds and pay their wages before shutting down the company. The company my husband had run for 30 years finally closed down. After the company shut down, our lives crumbled quickly, unimaginable compared to our previous lifestyle. Honey, what's with those socks? There's a hole in the heel. Change into a new pair immediately. Oh, no. I think I can wear them a few more times. I'll just wear them today. Why waste good socks by throwing them away? My husband started wearing socks with holes and stretched out underwear, saying they were too good to waste. It made my heart ache to see him so shabby. As people age, they try to maintain their dignity. But my husband at that moment was the picture of a broken family head. After that, we were struggling so much to make ends meet that we moved one more time to an even smaller, older rental apartment. Our children were as heartbroken as we were. Mother, this isn't much, but please use it for the deposit. I haven't done anything for you, too, and I haven't been much help during your hard times. Our son, in particular, seemed to be in pain, watching us struggle, and readily offered a large sum of $40,000. Good heavens. Can we really take such a large amount? Thank you, son. We'll accept this money despite our shame. Your father's health is getting worse, and I'm very worried. After closing the company, my husband had been doing day labor at an acquaintance's workplace, but his health deteriorated, and he was home more often. That $40,000 from our son was truly a godsend. As parents, we shouldn't be a burden to our children, but the situation was so dire that we had no choice but to accept it. Our grandson, Ethan, was about 4 years old at the time. The most surprising change after my husband's business failed was that of my daughter-in-law, Grace. Mother, you haven't taken the dog for a walk, have you? I told you to take him out twice a day without fail. Ugh, how many times do I have to tell you? At the time, Grace had brought home a small dog because our grandson wanted one. But after raising it for a while, she found walking it and cleaning up its waste bothersome, so she left it at our already small home. I was well past 60, and my body wasn't up to it, so taking care of the dog was a huge struggle for me. But Grace nagged me as if I were at fault, ordering me to walk the dog and bathe it. The dog barks so loudly at everyone he sees because you're not taking care of him properly. Mother. Ugh, my ears are killing me. Take him out immediately. I want some peace and quiet. Some days, she'd even shove the leash into my hand, claiming the dog's barking was too loud. I was utterly dumbfounded. But Grace's outrageous behavior didn't stop there. One day, around a holiday, my son was away on a flight, and only Grace and Ethan came to our house. But instead of helping, she just lay in the room, staring at her phone. Oh, what are you doing in there? You're just lying down on your phone. As soon as you arrive at your in-laws' house. Well, what am I supposed to do? The kitchen is so small, it's crowded with 2 people. You're smaller than I am, Mother, so it's probably easier for you to cook alone. Oh, Mother, did you make the zucchini pancakes? Ethan doesn't eat many vegetables, so I worry, but he'll eat those, so please make them for him. Grace just lay in the room, giving me orders. When Ethan got older, she even started calling me over to their house to babysit. Mother, you're home all the time anyway, aren't you? Please come and help us. Boys, especially, stop listening as they get older. Could you come over during the day and watch him for me? I debated whether I should help her raise her child. First, the distance between our houses was quite far, and given how she behaved at our house, I wondered how much ruder she would be if I went to her house. However, I also felt bad for her, raising Ethan alone because of my son's frequent trips. All right, it must be hard for you to raise him alone, so I'll go and help you. I can't go often, though. I'm turning 70 soon. Oh, 70 isn't old these days. Mother, they say people in their 70s are the youngest at the senior center. If you come to our house, you'll help with cooking and cleaning, too, right? Just as I expected, Grace not only had me watch Ethan, but also treated me like a housemaid. When I arrived, the dishes from the last meal were still unwashed, and Ethan's toys were so scattered across the living room that there was nowhere to step. I couldn't stand this side of it, so, every time I went to my son's house, I did a thorough cleaning before returning home. You don't clean the bathroom at all, do you? Look at all this mold. This is bad for your health. Do I have to clean the bathroom for you, too? That's why I asked you for help, Mother. If you don't want to do it, then call a cleaning service or something. Oh, wait, you don't have any money, do you, Mother? I began to realize why Grace was behaving so outrageously. She must have thought that since my husband's business failed, we no longer had any money. The most hurtful thing was that Grace constantly belittled me, and even suspected me of being a thief. Mother, did you touch my wallet? There was cash in here, but it's all gone now. I distinctly remember having $100 in there. What? Do you really think that makes sense? I'm not some petty thief to go through your wallet. But Grace insisted vehemently, acting as if she had seen me steal the money. This incident eventually reached my son's ears. I felt so humiliated. What was even more outrageous was that what Grace said in front of me, and what she told my son were completely different. Honey, I didn't want to suspect your mother. I truly hoped I was wrong, but I clearly saw your mother go into the master bedroom and touch my wallet while I was feeding Ethan. Grace told my son that she had clearly witnessed me stealing the money. At that point, my anger boiled over and I couldn't help. But yet, when did you see that? Grace then started to tear up, hiding behind my son. Mother, why would I lie for no reason? If you needed money, you should have just asked. I didn't want to do this, but I felt like I couldn't ignore it because it's bad for Ethan's education, and it wouldn't be good for you to let it slide. I was absolutely speechless. But then my son looked sternly at Grace and spoke. Are you sure you saw Mother take it? The cash in your wallet. I took that this morning. I forgot to withdraw cash and needed some. When my son said this, Grace stammered, clearly flustered. But I definitely saw Mother go into the master bedroom. If you took it, why did Mother go into the master bedroom when I wasn't there? That's because you asked her to clean the room, didn't you? How can you accuse someone of being a thief without batting an eye? I'm truly speechless. However, even after this incident, Grace found any opportunity to portray me as a strange person. One day, my son came home with a whole box of fruit. When I asked why the sudden gift, he said, Grace told me you enjoy fruit. Mother, she said you finished everything in the fridge. That's fine. I'll bring more fruit often. I couldn't believe it. That daughter-in-law had told my son that I had eaten all the fruit in the refrigerator. She must have been bad-mouthing me, claiming I had even finished all the fruit meant for Ethan. All I had eaten was one overripe banana. My son, hearing her words, must have thought I couldn't afford fruit, so he bought an entire box. The situation was getting to the point where I was constantly worried about what unjust accusation she would level against me next. The final straw came when I visited their house while my son was away. I was cleaning when I discovered a strange object. It was a CCTV camera. I realized that my daughter-in-law had been secretly watching me. Feeling enraged, I waited until my son and Grace came home that evening, and threw the small camera at them. What is this? Were you monitoring me with this to see if I was stealing anything? What? A CCTV camera. Honey, why did you install this in the house? You never said anything to me. Did you really install this to spy on my mother? My son was clearly seeing it for the first time, and demanded an explanation from Grace. She started tearing up, acting as if she were the victim. No, I was just worried that you might collapse while watching Ethan when I wasn't here, since you've been unwell, Mother. Or what if Ethan suddenly got sick? I installed it out of concern. And why can't you understand my feelings? The deceitful Grace cried. profusely, acting as if I had misunderstood her intentions. The thought that crossed my mind then was that I shouldn't just sit there and take it. I realized I needed evidence, whether a recording or a small camera. Because if I did nothing, I would only become more unfairly targeted. That day, Grace cried so much that I just gave her a few sharp words and returned home. A few months later, Grace cautiously called me. "Mother, it's me. I realized I haven't called in a while, so I'm calling now. Is father doing well? Our Ethan keeps crying because he misses grandma. So, would you like to visit our house when you're free? Mother, I can cook a delicious dinner for you." Grace spoke in a sweet, pleading voice. I wasn't fooled, knowing this was her tactic when she needed something, but I decided to play along to see how far she would go, and agreed to visit their house. I took a bus for quite a long time to get to my son's place. As expected, Ethan ran to me and gave me a big hug. I chose not to clean the house at all, and just focused on playing with my grandson. "Grandma, let's play horsey." Horsey, but that day, Ethan kept throwing tantrums. Even when I spoke nicely, he was whiny and irritable. Then, he accidentally spilled his milk. "Oh, no. You've ruined your clothes. Stay still. Grandma will clean it up." I was squatting down, wiping the spilled milk on the floor. Suddenly, Ethan grabbed a handful of my hair from behind and pulled hard. I was so startled, and it hurt so much that tears well up in my eyes. "Ethan, did you just pull grandma's hair? Who taught you to do that to your grandma? Apologize right now." At that, he started wailing and even pinched and hit me. I had always only spoiled him. I had never once scolded him before, but since he was 7 years old, I felt I needed to teach him proper manners. I firmly held my struggling grandson and spoke sternly in a raised voice. "Ethan, you must not treat grandma like this. This is very bad behavior. Who taught you to be so rude to an adult? Stop that crying right now." Seeing my grandson unable to calm down and just keep crying, I was struck by the thought that perhaps we had coddled him too much. "Say you're sorry right now, or grandma will get the cane." The cane. I should go get it immediately. Although I said that, how could I actually hit my grandson? I only said it because I felt I, as his grandmother, had to teach him strictly, but Grace, who had been in the master bedroom all along, must have overheard my words, as she rushed out with a frightening intensity, and confronted me. "Mother, what did you just say? Are you threatening to hit my son? How can you say something like that when I'm right here? Ethan, are you okay? Did grandma hit you?" "No, she didn't hit me. I hit grandma." "Let me see, do you have any bruises? Are you hurt?" Grace inspected Ethan's clothes and body, as if I had physically harmed him. Even though Ethan kept saying his grandma didn't do anything, she continued to corner me. "I really can't take this anymore. I can't stand the sight of you. Get out of this house right now. Get out." "What? What did you just say to your mother-in-law?" "Can't stand the sight of me. How can you say such a thing? You should have acted like a mother-in-law. You didn't do anything for us, except for that small amount of money you gave us for the wedding. Other mothers-in-law buy their daughters-in-law designer bags, and give them credit cards to use freely. What have you done?" "Mother, do you know what I've been thinking lately? I thought I was marrying into a family with some money, but I was completely fooled. You don't even own your house. If I had known you were this poor, I wouldn't have married your son." Grace raised her voice and stared me down, using words that should never be spoken to another person. I was so shocked that I felt dizzy. "You are not a human being. You were so sweet, calling us the best parents-in-law and sucking up to us when we gave you the money for the house. Now you show your true colors." "Yes, you're right. We don't have much now, but we never lived ungratefully like you. My husband worked so hard for that money to help you start your life, and now you call our family poor. How dare you talk about poor family? How are you going to face me after going this far?" "I won't. Why would I want to keep seeing you? Get out of this house right now." Grace threw the front door wide open, and screamed at me to leave immediately. I was so stunned that I stormed out of the house. I walked for hours in shock, until I reached home. Where have you been? It's past 1 a.m. You said you were going to our son's house, but you didn't answer your phone or tell me where you were going. Do you know how worried I was, and why are you sweating so much? My husband was so worried that he had considered calling the police. As soon as I saw my husband's face, the tears I had been holding back erupted. I poured out everything that had happened. My husband flew into a rage, vowing not to let that insolent woman get away with it. She has some nerve to treat her mother-in-law this way, saying things like that, and acting like that to my wife. And you just stood there and took it. Why didn't you put that witch in her place? Is that good-for-nothing son of mine not home yet? How did he raise his wife to let her turn his house into this mess? I'm going to rip them apart. My husband was desperate to go to my son's house that night, and I had a hard time calming him down. The next morning, my son finally contacted us. Father, did you call? I just landed in Korea. I'm calling you right away after leaving the airport. Is something wrong at home? Soon, come straight home now. How can you be so nonchalant after learning what your wife did to your mother? Surprised by my husband's fury, my son said he would rush home immediately. A while later, my son burst into the house. Mother, what's wrong with your face? Did you cry? What did my wife do this time? Tell me. Don't even ask, son. Your mother didn't sleep a wink last night, she just cried. Do you think your mother is a maid? Your mother's health isn't even good, but she went all the way there to help your new family, and instead of treating her with respect, you let your wife treat her like that. And you, son, because you're so busy with your job and neglect your family, your wife thinks she can treat her in-laws with such disdain. My husband's words made my son hang his head in distress. He immediately called Grace and shouted for her to come to our house right away. What my son said next was completely astonishing. Mother, father, actually, I also got a call from Grace. She called me crying, saying that you had scolded Ethan terribly, and even threatened to use a cane. She told me that when I tried to stop her, you even hit her. I almost collapsed from the sudden spike in my blood pressure. Grace had turned me into a shameless person who had yelled at my grandson and then hit my daughter-in-law. I had expected her to lie to my son, but I never imagined she would distort the event so completely. I finally had no choice but to pull out my hidden weapon. Listen to this. I didn't want to do this, but if I didn't have proof, I would have been completely framed, wouldn't I? This is a recording from when all that chaos broke out at your house. I played the audio file I had secretly recorded. The recording clearly captured Grace's vile words to me, as well as Ethan crying and telling her not to talk to his grandma like that. Even after the recording ended, my husband and son sat in silence for a long time. Then, my son spoke with a trembling voice. Honestly, Grace has spoken ill of you to me a lot. I didn't believe everything, but deep down, I thought you might also be partly at fault, Mother. That's why I couldn't stop her more forcefully. I am truly sorry. This is all my fault. I made a huge mistake by being neglectful as a son, using my busy job as an excuse. What my son said next was truly shocking. Actually, I've been seriously considering divorcing Grace. Our personalities are too different, and above all, I can't handle her excessive extravagance. My salary as a pilot is by no means small, but she spends all of it, and even uses a separate credit card in my name, spending over $4,000 a month. Not long ago, I found out she sent $35,000 to her family without consulting me, and we had a massive fight. That woman is far more ungrateful than I thought. She was determined to ruin our family. I will handle everything. It may be late, but I will fix this. My son explained that because he felt guilty about being away often, he had tolerated the problems in their marriage. But after seeing her treat me this way, he couldn't stand it anymore, and decided to divorce her. Seeing my son, whose face was etched with fatigue from long flights, having to endure this without sleep, made my heart break even more. About 2 weeks later, my son finally called. Mother, Father, I'm sorry, but could you please come to my house? There are things I need to tell you, and things I need to give you. We agreed and headed straight for my son's house. When we arrived, Grace was sitting next to my son, her face sullen and pouting. My son asked us to sit down and then delivered the truly astonishing news. As you all know, you loaned us $250,000 for our wedding. I did return $40,000 to you in the middle of that time. I know it's late, but I plan to repay the $210,000 principal to you now. I apologize for the long delay. My son kept apologizing, saying he would sell the house to pay back the money. At this, Grace jumped up and grabbed my son. Sell this house. Then where will our Ethan live? What are you saying? You didn't even discuss this with me. Discuss? Why would I discuss this with you? I told you from the beginning that this house wasn't fully ours, and that we would have to pay my parents back someday. The house has appreciated by $150,000 since we bought it anyway. It's worth around $400,000 now, so even after selling it, and paying back the principal and interest to my parents, there will still be about $50,000 left. What am I supposed to do with $50,000? Are you telling me to move into a rundown rental like the one your parents live in? As Grace cornered my son, he smirked and looked at her coldly. I don't know what you'll do. I'm divorcing you. Did you contribute even a dime to the house when we married? The refrigerator and washing machine you bought, you can take them or sell them, whatever you want. I clearly told you when we got married that if my parents ever needed the money from the house, we would have to give it all back, and you clearly agreed. Going to say you don't remember now? I kept this with me just in case. At that moment, my son pulled out the IOU that had been written years ago. I almost got completely taken by you if I hadn't had this, didn't I, Father? I apologize for not paying interest all this time. So, I would like to pay the $210,000 principal, and an additional $170,000 as interest. I hope you will accept it. I don't accept this. How can you give them all that precious money, even though you and your parents provided the money for this house? I have a right to that money, too. A right? What right? You are not entitled to any of that money. Instead, let's split the remaining $50,000 equally between us. That's the last bit of consideration I'll show you. As my son spoke so coldly and firmly, Grace, cornered, started crying and playing the victim, as she usually did. Why are you doing this? You just came home after a long time, and now you're talking about divorce? What do you mean? You know, I can't live without you and Ethan. Stop lying. You married me for my parents' money. I heard everything. I heard you bad-mouthing my mother and screaming that you regretted marrying me. You lied about my mother hitting you a couple of weeks ago, didn't you? How long did you think you could keep up this charade? Did you think I'd be a fool forever? Mother, please play that recording for her. She needs to know how rudely she behaved. I played the recording file again in front of a deeply flustered Grace. Even listening to it again, the sense of indignation from that day overwhelmed me. Go ahead and deny it again. You like to collect evidence, don't you? You even installed a CCTV camera secretly to record my mother. And no, that's not it, honey. Please listen to me. Mother, I think I was out of my mind that day. I think I lost my temper for a moment when the child was crying. Actually, I had been drinking a little. I was sleeping in the master bedroom. And when I heard your voice and Ethan crying, I said things I didn't mean. I made a mistake. Please forgive me. Grace suddenly knelt down, confessing that she had been drinking. It made sense her eyes that day had looked like she wasn't quite in her right mind. I truly love you. When I said I regretted getting married, I was just whining. I'm begging you, please forgive me. My father is also very sick, and I have nowhere to turn, if not to you. I'm sorry, but I haven't thought of you as my daughter-in-law for a long time. I don't need a daughter-in-law who only clings to us when the in-laws are doing well, trying to figure out how to squeeze more out of us. You acted on calculation, didn't you? So, we'll do the same now and make a calculation. Why should we tolerate you as our daughter-in-law? What have you ever done for us? Even if you had just saved the $4,000 you spent monthly throughout your marriage, my son could have already done enough for us, couldn't he? Father, I will work and pay that money back, too. Please, just give me one more chance. Grace clung to my husband's pants, weeping and pleading, but there were no more chances left for her. I felt the same way as my husband, so I said everything I needed to say and rose from my seat, leaving the room coldly. My son walked us out, saying he would finalize the house sale soon. I'm so sorry that you had to witness all this. I will quickly sort out the house and the marriage. We simply patted our son's shoulder, silently, understanding how heartbroken he was. The divorce between my son and Grace didn't go as smoothly as we hoped. The two continued a messy fight over the house. I won't lose that house so easily. I won't. Be reasonable, please. You're only making yourself look pathetic. Do you really want me to take this to court? You'll be the one at a disadvantage then. After weeks of intense fighting, my son and Grace were finally able to sign the divorce papers. As my son wished, the house was split. Only after the amount owed to us was deducted. He was also able to gain full custody of Ethan. Once the divorce was finalized, my son immediately sold the house and gave us $380,000. It's very late, Mother and Father, but I'm truly relieved that I can finally give you this money. I don't know if we should take this. We'll keep it for you for now. We'll give it back whenever you need it. You've worked so hard, son. After that, I moved in with my son. We felt it was necessary for us to care for Ethan in place of our busy son. We combined our money with the money my son gave us, and moved into a house that was suitable for my husband, my son, Ethan, and me. Grace is now struggling to pay off debt and rarely sends child support. Why haven't you deposited Ethan's child support? You always talked about how much you cared about your son, and now you're ignoring him. How can you call yourself a mother? Where do I have money? You didn't even help me solve the credit card debt. And do you know how much I'm struggling to pay it off? Just wait a little longer. I don't want to be the mother who doesn't even provide for her son. Grace always gives excuses, crying and asking us to wait. One time, she even contacted my daughter, since she had no one left on her side. She must have thought to cling to my daughter. Sister-in-law, you used to say I was a treasure to your family. Please talk some sense into your brother. He's making a fuss over child support now. Did you forget who I am? I'm the sister-in-law who's scarier than the mother-in-law. Don't you dare think my family is a joke. I erased you from my memory a long time ago. Never contact our family again. I'll call the police on you. I was right next to my daughter at the time, so I took the phone and had a word with her. Yes. You have the audacity to call here? You should have done your calculations better. Did you really think my daughter would take your side instead of mine? That's truly laughable. Snap out of it. And from now on, live with respect for others. If you act without manners, why would anyone treat you with respect? With those final words, I blocked Grace's number on all our family members' phones. Today, my husband and I focus on teaching Ethan the true meaning of respect, to honor elders, be considerate, and understand others. He recently received an award for his excellent manners. I remind myself that the pain of being insulted by Grace does not belong to me, but to the person who was in the wrong. Thank you for listening.